So, I just got out of the theater from seeing Spider-Man No Way Home. And I'm trying to process everything that I saw. Because I'm trying to give the best review that I can give. And before I start, just so y'all know, it will contain spoilers. Because I'm not going to do two videos, non-spoiler and spoiler. So it will contain spoilers. So, to start off, this movie takes place right after Spider-Man Far From Home, which I thought was okay, but not that good. This movie, I would definitely say, is leaps and bounds better, and it goes in a completely different direction than the last two movies. So, as y'all know, Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man's life, is completely fucked up because the guy with the fishbowl on his fucking head, Mysterio, ousts his identity, right? And now the world knows that he's Spider-Man. So Peter's family gets sucked into it. His aunt, his best friend, his girlfriend. And, they get questioned by the cops. The cameras show up to his fucking house. Like the news team, everybody. And he has to basically split. And he goes to hide out at, I guess, one of Tony's old spots or Hoagie's apartment somewhere, just to lay low. And, you kind of see the aftermath of everything that's fucking going on with Peter trying to get into college, his best friend Ned along with his girlfriend MJ trying to get into college, and they get denied because, of all the shit that is going on with Peter. Basically, everybody's put it together, hey, MJ's dating Peter, his best friend, he know he was Spider-Man the whole time, all this other shit. So yeah, that happens, and Peter basically is like, I need some help. So while he's sitting at this at the bar at his girlfriend's job, he looks up and he sees like these little lights, and it makes him think of Doctor Strange. So anyway, he goes to see Doctor Strange, and he asks Doctor Strange, look, my life's all fucked up. I need you to make it so nobody knows I was Spider-Man. And so Doctor Strange, casts a spell, or at least tried to. But then Peter, while he's kind of making the spell, is basically asking him, look, can you make it so my girlfriend, Happy Hoagie, my aunt, my best friend, certain people know that I'm Spider-Man, but make sure the rest of the world doesn't. So after he tried to cast a spell, he goes up to Peter face to face and like, hey man, did you try and at least, convince people that you weren't Spider-Man? And he's like, no. So then he kind of gets kicked out of Doctor Strange's house. And so then Peter goes to go see a lady from MIT to try and help him and his friends get into this college that he's been wanting to get into. And he's on the bridge or the freeway, and all of a sudden, Doc Ock shows up, and everybody in the theater starts cheering. The theater I was in was pretty fucking packed. There's one thing I almost forgot to mention. At the beginning of the movie, when Peter is trying to get into college, it's like a montage of him trying to get into, all these different schools, and everybody's turning him down. I ain't gonna lie, it was kind of kooky, kind of like, early 2000 feel to it. I really wasn't interested in it, but eventually as the movie kept going, I got more and more interested. So back to the fight. So anyway, this was a really good fucking fight scene between Doc Ock and Peter. Peter's all in his metal suit, and him and Doc Ock are going at it. And so at one point, Doc Ock rips the special suit off Peter, and you got like Peter, you can see he's regular, he dressed up suit underneath, and it forms with his tentacles, and so they're all red and shit. So now that that's happened, Peter uses his gadget on his wrist to control Doc Ock, which he ends up getting taken back to Doctor Strange's lair. Doctor Strange explains to him, look, this is what the fuck is going on. People from different universes fought these other Spider-Men. These villains have now entered our universe. We gotta send them back. And Peter, along with his friends, are are, get roped into it. And Peter doesn't want to send these guys back because Doctor Strange basically tells him, look, they fought this other Spider-Man. They die fighting Spider-Man. And there's a lot of banter back and forth between each of these villains. So then Peter ends up going to... Actually, I almost forgot one thing. So then eventually Green Goblin shows up on the bridge. And, the crowd went crazy. Basically, for every villain, everybody who made an appearance, the crowd went fucking crazy. So then, fast forward from that, Doctor Strange basically is like, look, we gotta send these guys back. Peter's like, no, I don't want to send them back just to get fucking killed. He's like, look, it's their destiny. It's just the way shit is. So Peter and Doctor Strange have a fight. And the fight was so fucking amazing. It's unfucking believable to see these two go at it. And so Peter, using his wit, ends up trapping Doctor Strange, who's trying to get the box back to basically fix every fucking thing and send these guys back to the universe. Peter takes it from him along with the rings. I guess I don't know if it amplifies his power or what it is, but it helps him in some kind of way, Doctor Strange. He takes the ring, take the box away from Doctor Strange, leaving him in the mirror world. And then Peter ends up trying to come up with a solution where these guys don't get killed. I guess he tries to reform them in some kind of way where he's like, look, I'm trying to help your asses out. You got to work with me here. So it's basically Doc Ock, the Lizard, eventually William Dafoe's Goblin, Jamie Foxx's Electro, right? So he goes to, I guess, try and get William Dafoe's Green Goblin. And he ends up fighting the Sandman for a minute. I almost forgot about him until he joins Peter's side. And then also he fights Electro. And for whatever reason, Electro is back to looking like, the Jamie Foxx guy, not the all blue dude we saw from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Anyway, Sandman helps Spider-Man and then end up getting trapped in this layer deep in Doctor Strange's place. So then, I'm trying to remember everything that fucking happened in this fucking movie. There's so much fucking shit. So then, Peter eventually goes to see his aunt because he gets a phone call from his aunt. His aunt is talking to William Dafoe. And William Dafoe is still kind of, like, he's himself, but he's also Green Goblin. So, if you've seen the old Spider-Man movies, you know, right? So then, anyway, Peter is, he takes Green Goblin back to the lair. And there, Doctor Strange, locks him behind a magic wall. And then eventually when Peter and Doctor Strange do how they fight, that happens afterwards. Peter tries to help the guys. He takes them back to his apartment. And he basically is like, look, help me out here. And he basically uses his wit along with William Dafoe and creates a gadget that basically lets Dr. Octopus control the tentacles again, like he did back in his movie way back in the early 2000s. If y'all remember, the chip got it blown to bits after he tried to create the power of the sun in his hands. Long story. I don't feel like trying to explain it all. So anyway, fast forward, that happens. So then all hell breaks loose once Green Goblin takes back over William Dafoe's body, and basically all the villains leave. And Peter gets into a fight with William Dafoe. It's another great fucking fight scene that he has, because William Dafoe is holding his fucking own. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's the enhanced strength from the Goblin, and he's holding his fucking own. He's fucking up Peter. So then they end up down in the lobby, and Peter is fighting the Goblin, and the Goblin ends up using one of his explosive, throws it at his aunt, and it doesn't kill her right away, but she dies in the aftermath. And so then Hoagie gets arrested because he's going to the apartment. He got cameras there. He can see who's in there and what's going the fuck on and shit like that. So he gets there. He gets arrested. Peter Parker is just fucked up. So it goes back over to his friends who are still in the apartment, who are seeing the aftermath from J. Jonah Jameson, giving the news report of everything that just, what he knows that fucking happened. And so I almost forgot that all the villains leave. I said that, including I forgot the green dude's name, the Lizard. And so, while that's going on, Ned somehow is able to use the magic rings and call forth Peter Parker. Now, at first, you see Peter standing at the end of the alley. You don't know what the fuck is going on. And all of a sudden, you see him come running up. And as closer you get, you kind of realize, oh shit, this isn't, his Peter Parker. Because he's using the rings to call Peter Parker. Somehow, he was able to do it. Then nobody knows how, not even Doctor Strange. And somehow, he was able to call Peter, he's able to call out to Peter. And he was able to open a portal and bring this Peter Parker from his universe into ours. And it's Spider-Man from the Amazing Spider-Man 2, the recent trilogy. And he comes up, and of course, Ned and MJ are kind of suspicious until he proves that it's him. And then so Ned tries again. And at that point when he showed up, man, the whole theater went crazy. It was crazy to see old Peter, or Peter 2, back. So then, aka Andrew Garfield. So then Ned tried again with the rings, and this time it brings in Tobey Maguire. And he's just in regular clothes and no spider suit, no nothing. And the crowd again went crazy. Even I did, man. To see a lot of this shit was fucking cool. And, it brought back a lot of fucking memories. And so then they're talking to Ned and MJ and trying to figure out what the fuck going on. Be like, hey, how do we end up here? Blah, 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 blah. And eventually they meet up with Peter Parker from, his universe. And he's all broken up. He's all fucked up because his aunt just died. And that's when they all kind of compare stories about who they lost and how their lives have been shaped from being Spider-Man. And then they all decided to come up with a plan that we got to stop these guys. And so they, they trading stories. And it's kind of funny because you see that Toby and Andrew, not Toby and Andrew, I'm sorry, but you see that Toby, he's able to use his webbing without cartridges and stuff. And Andrew Garfield and new Spider-Man, I forgot his fucking name that fucking fast, are trying to figure out how you're able to do this without using cartridges and stuff like that, web fluid. And he's just like, look, it just fucking happens. So once you get past kind of the extra scene, they go to the Statue of Liberty where they meet they didn't meet, but they see all the other villains. And they're kind of having a hard time stopping the villains because they're not used to working with a team, except for new Spider-Man we currently got right now. And so he's trying to explain to these guys, like, look, I've been a part of the team, I fought with the Avengers. And they're like, who the fuck is that? Because obviously they don't have the Avengers in their world. And he basically tells them, look, we gotta work as a unit. And the crowd goes crazy as they all kind of swing and they kind of do that Spider-Man pose. And they managed to each have a good fight scene, and it never felt like it overshadowed the current Spider-Man at all. And fuck, so much in my fucking head right now. And Doctor Strange pops up eventually, and he's pissed off, and new Spider-Man is basically like, look, I managed to do what you thought I couldn't do, which was basically turn him human without killing him. And so then that's when William Dafoe shows up, because it was a fight scene between Electro and Sandman, and you would think for a second that it was going to be Doc Ock, but he turns on the villains and helps the heroes. And also, who else was? William Dafoe shows up. So anyway, William Dafoe shows up, and William Dafoe basically, just fucking shit up. And he takes the box and plants one of his bombs in it, and it explodes, setting off all the fucking power. Chain reaction type shit. And so the power's starting to spread. Doctor Strange is like, look, I can't stop them from coming. They're coming because of you, Peter. And Peter's like, look, so just cast one more fucking spell and make it so nobody knew who the fuck I was. And he's like, are you sure? Doctor Strange is asking Peter. He's like, yes. So Peter goes down, says his goodbyes, all this other stuff. And it's pretty fucking sad, it's pretty fucking sad. And so then, once he does that, the power just, just all over the place. I almost forgot one fucking thing. So, Peter ends up fighting William Dafoe after they managed to stop all the other villains and turn them into just back to their normal selves. And it was the actual characters from the early 2000s movies. A lot of people thought that besides Electro and I'm trying to think William Dafoe, everybody else was going to be just like the CGI. It was going to be somebody else playing those other villains. It's not. It's actual them from the early 2000s movies. Everybody went crazy seeing these guys come back. It brought back a lot of fucking memories. So anyway, Peter fights William Dafoe, and he's so fucking pissed off. Never have you seen Peter look like this at all. He was fucking lit. He was angry. It was a completely different side that you've never seen before. Obviously, he was angry. He was upset because he just lost his fucking aunt. And so then as soon as he gets ready to deliver the death blow, Tobey Maguire jumps in front and stops him. And then he gets stabbed by the Goblin. And then when he falls out the way, Andrew Garfield throws the serum to New Peter, stabs William Dafoe in the neck, and it basically, reverts him back to just being a goblin. So then after the spell is cast, it basically goes, I guess, to sometime later, and Peter is basically looking for an apartment, and he basically, goes to talk to MJ at this restaurant. And she doesn't know who the fuck he is, because the spell that got cast basically makes everybody forget who the fuck he was. And so he goes up to her and he orders some food and they have a little conversation. His best friend Ned stops by, and nobody knows who he is. And I guess at some point, he gets ready to tell her, "Hey, I'm Spider-Man," but he decides not to. I don't know if he just didn't want to fuck up her life or anything like that. So he ends up leaving. He ends up finding an apartment. And this part of the movie, I ain't gonna lie, is probably one of the most interesting things, and one of the things that really got me fucking curious. You see him getting ready to leave, and there's the old mask sitting on his bed, on his pillow. And you see a sewing machine, and it's putting together a suit. But it doesn't look like any of the suits we've ever seen before. It looks like an old classic Spider-Man suit, where it's like a bright red and a bright blue with some black. If you remember Spider-Man from the 90s, I believe that's what it looks like, just a little brighter. So then he goes out, he's webbing, and it was during the holiday season, and the movie goes off. And so there is an end credit scene at the end of this movie where not Green Goblin, but I forgot his fucking name. Venom, Tom Hardy, is talking to a guy at a bar. And he's basically, the guy at the bar is basically explaining to Tom Hardy, like, look, this is what's happening here. Thanos showed up, zapped everybody away for 5 years. There's a big green dude called the Hulk. There's a dude who flies around in an iron suit named Iron Man. And he's like, oh. So it's kind of like a three-way conversation, because there's the guy at the bar, there's Tom, and then there's Venom in his head talking. It's kind of hard to understand all of it. So then eventually he gets like zapped back to his own reality, but not before a little piece of his Venom symbiote is left behind. And then the movie goes off. The ending part of this movie is what caught my attention the most, where Spider-Man was making his own suit. Because that's what I always fucking wanted in the past movies, was for him to be Spider-Man without all of the extra tech. And to see him be Spider-Man, we had to create, we had to make his own suit from scratch. And to see him, like you see kind of glimpses, even though it's nighttime, where you see him in the suit and it's bright and it looks good. And I'm excited to see where the fuck they're going with this story. And I hope y'all enjoyed my fucking review. I know it was super long, but that movie was fucking good. I'm definitely going to see it again in theaters. I just don't know when yet, because I want to see The Matrix now. And the movie was fucking good, so definitely check out the movie for yourselves. And that's all I got for this review. I'm finna go to bed now. Not before I watch everybody else's reviews and talks, but watch the movie, then come back and watch this review. You already know who it is. Big O Show. I'm out. Peace.